Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as standard on the United Stand. Hope you're doing very well. Lots to get through tonight as always. We will be doing the season player ratings. I've got the link in the video description for you for that if you're interested in doing that. Also talking about Solskjaer's new transfer target and some very interesting things around what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in a Q&A with Manchester United, talking about his favourite players, who he thinks has progressed, what you should do with people who are injured. Really, really interesting stuff floating around about that. But first of all, I just want to say, with all happiness and everything else that comes when I do these sort of things, that today the show is sponsored by Manscaped. You love these, so just sit back and enjoy it. Spring is just around the corner, and that means it's time to mow your lawn. You see where I'm going with this? Luckily, Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools to get the job done. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you with the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have all had those close encounters when we're trying to make our areas below waist look as handsome as those above it, and that is why the Manscaped engineering team have perfected the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created and just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. So now you can shave your most important possessions with no fear of injury. The Manscaped razors are super premium and boast a 90-minute battery life, waterproof technology so you can use it in the shower as well, which is absolutely brilliant when you can lose it in the shower, because you know what, time is of the essence for us men, and if you can be having a shower whilst cracking on with that safely, that's what you want to be doing. Manscaped Razor is super easy to use and charge, and even comes with a USB charging stand so you can show it off to everyone that uses your guest bathroom. And because Manscaped care about all the nuts that watch this channel, see what I did there? It's a joke about nuts. Anyway, because Manscaped care about all the nuts that watch this channel, they are giving a huge 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code UnitedStand20, all one word, at checkout. Another great thing about Manscaped is whenever a purchase is made at manscaped.com, they make a contribution to the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, which I think we can all agree is very important in relation to men's health and early cancer detection. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the link in the video description and get your Manscaped razor today. And I just want to give a shout out to the nasal trimmer. I don't have to do this, but I always do it. It's brilliant. When you get to a certain age, they're a pain. Well, they're not painful. They just come out your nose, stick out your nose, and very, very good. Also does ears, but I'm not that old yet. But nose as well. Very good products. 20% off. Link is in the video description. It's Manscaped Friday on the United Stand. But how are we all doing? I hope you're all doing very well today. Lots to discuss as ever. And we do have, and look, you know what? People can laugh, but trim your grass to make the yard look bigger. And, that's just the way it is. But let's get on with the show. We are going to be doing player ratings for the season so far. Remember when we do player ratings after a game and we do it in-house? Well, we're going to do that again as well. So we will be doing that in a little bit. It will mean a change of scenery. Not flex, that's not what we need. It will mean a change of scenery, but we will do it. But let me just say, I don't know who this Tom person is, Mark Harris. So if people don't tell me what's going on, then I don't know what to say. Mark, if Ed Woodward and Matt Judge were stuck in a pond with a crocodile and you could only pull one out, who would you pull out? Says Sinan. I think I'd probably wait a while, in which case I might not have to make a decision. But let me start off with this. So this is just a bit of topical transfer news. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did an interview, Q&A, on the Manchester United YouTube channel. I don't know whether anyone's seen it, but some really interesting comments coming out from, an insight into the man, really. But I want to give you just a little bit of an update on what's going on in relation to transfer news. So Marcus Rashford's back. He's not going to be playing for England. Really good news. Clearly has an injury problem. I think Rashford playing for England is really important as an Englishman, and I want him to play well in the Euros, but I don't think it served a purpose when he's not fit enough to play against Leicester for us, and he's clearly carrying an injury. A couple of weeks rest is really good for him, so he's back. This story about Llorente from Atletico Madrid, I haven't covered it like other outlets have covered it because it's a load of shite. We covered it on the news show briefly this morning, and I think that's all it ever needed. It certainly doesn't need videos about it because it's not going to happen. So I don't want to say anything more than that. But I will talk to you about this story because it's coming from two areas. It's coming from Bild in Germany, where the player plays, and it's also coming from Spain, where one of the clubs linked to him are also play as well. And it's about Andre Silva. Now, we have been linked to Andre Silva before. I think Christian Falk was talking about this a few weeks ago, but this is coming from Build, saying that Manchester United and Barcelona are monitoring the situation with Andre Silva. Formerly of AC Milan, Portuguese striker, 25, 6'1". I think he's got 22 goals in 26 games for Eintracht Frankfurt. He's doing very, very well. And Manchester United have been linked to him with Barcelona by both the German outlet and the Spanish outlet. And I think it's always interesting, I think, when you get two outlets from different countries talking about the same player. Now, it might be the same brief, it might be the same source, but it is interesting that AS and Bild are talking about Andre Silva and Manchester United. Haaland's not going to happen. We do need a striker, and I think he is a player that comes to mind. I quite like the guy at Sociedad that we played against, Isaac. I think he looks really good. And obviously Patson Daka has been mentioned as well. But Andre Silva is an interesting one. Didn't do particularly well at AC Milan. Is that a stain on his reputation? I don't know. He's done very well at Eintracht Frankfurt. Bundesliga, you know. What's the name of the player who went from Eintracht Frankfurt to Real Madrid? His name, I totally can't remember his name. For some reason I've got Rebic in my head, and it's definitely not Rebic. But that's another one. Andre Silva is the reason where Frankfurt are in the Bundesliga, says Marvin AM. And United should sign Diaby, close thing to Mane from Liverpool, says DZ. Jovic, that was it. Rebic, Jovic. So, yeah, I mean, look, Andre Silva, we are going to have to buy a striker this summer. Categorically, we are going to have to buy a striker this summer. However, with Haaland, impossible. I think we can all accept that. Where do you go? And I think this sort of a striker is what United are going to have to do. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just to give you a bit of a spoiler in relation to his interview, which we're going to talk about in a minute, he was asked about football and what's changed over the last few years. And he said the goalkeeping situation has changed because you need to be good on the ball. But he said, I like a number 9. I like an out-and-out number 9. And, he wants a number 9. He was a number 9. And I think that's the problem. That's why Cavani was brought in, because he wanted to bring in the quintessential number 9, which Cavani is. Martial isn't, and I think we are still looking for that, and I think Cavani will leave and we're going to have to buy a striker. I think it's very sad that we've got to sign a striker, because I think next summer would have been the perfect time to really try and get Haaland with the release clause, but because of the Cavani experiment hasn't worked. Let's be honest, Cavani has not worked. He was meant to be here for 2 years. He's been here for half a year, really, when you take into injuries and how late he came in. And he wants to go in the summer. So we're going to have to buy a striker, and I think we're going to have to look at that. I mean, Dylan says Inaki Williams. There are a few. And Moussa Dembele's at Atletico Madrid, so I don't think we'd be looking at him. Some people quite like the lad at Celtic, Edouard. But I think, there's a few that we could look at, and I think we're definitely going to be looking at somebody. We've got to bring somebody in. But I quite like Isaac at Real Sociedad. I liked him anyway. But seeing him play against us over those 2 games, I think his game suits the Premier League. He's quick, he's tall, he's good on the ball. That's a bit of a rhyme. He's quick, he's tall, he's good on the ball. Yeah, no, it's rubbish. But no, I quite like him. Mark, how do you know Haaland will do well in our league? Other leagues are easier. Look at Laka. He had better stats than Haaland and has not performed 100% and third the price, says Zayn Massey. Zayn Massey has just compared on Alexander Lacazette, the French Charlie Austin, to the best up-and-coming striker in the world. Arsenal fans have got no shame. They've got no shame, have they? Lacazette played in the French league. The Bundesliga is way better than the French league, and there is no comparison between Haaland and Lacazette. Lacazette is basically a French Charlie Austin, and Haaland is categorically one of the best, most exciting strikers we've seen in a long, long time. So that's the difference there, Zane. And if you had the money, in fact, I'm doing a video tomorrow on That's Football about why Arsenal are so crap. I don't know whether I'm going to call it that title. It might be nicer. But you would be all over at Haaland if there was a hint of him coming to Arsenal. And you know it. You would love to get him. You just cannot afford it. So yeah, let's see what happens with the striker situation. But I think we need to be aware that Manchester United are going to sign a striker. Definitely. Just a couple of other stories before we get into what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was speaking about. And remember, I have dropped it in the video description. I hope I have. Let me just double check. I'm not talking about Manscaped. Second paragraph, unitedstand.com. It's got the link to the season player ratings so far. We're going to be doing that at the back end of the show, so watch out for that. We're going to give every player a rating so far this season. Back end of the show, there's better things to talk about first, but it will be a good little thing to do. And your questions as well. I'm not talking about the bid for Marcus Llorente, Mo, because it's a stupid story. It belongs halfway through the morning show, which is a news show. It doesn't belong on a Saturday night, a Friday night, or an 8 o'clock show on the United Stand. The 8 o'clock show on the United Stand has got a little bit more credibility than talking about shitty, unrealistic £80 million offers for Llorente. We're not going to do it, so I'm not going to talk about it. There's no credibility in it. It won't happen. Don't remember Lacazette smashing the Champions League, says Ash Little. Nope, I don't either. That's Andre Silva, but let's watch out and see what happens. United need... and in fairness to Solskjaer, is this not part of the problem at Manchester United? Solskjaer wants Haaland, ends up with, I don't know. God knows what he ends up with, really, because he'll end up with 5th or 6th choice. But we're not going to get Haaland. We're not going to get him. Gabriel says he misses Lukaku. I wouldn't mind revisiting that in a little bit, actually, Gabriel. I'd like to talk about Lukaku, if I may. I will bring that back in, because it's not good enough to talk about at the moment, but I do think it's an interesting thing about whether we should have let him go in hindsight or not. Just a roundup of other transfer news and news before we move into what Solskjaer said. So Solskjaer did an interview, which I don't think many people have actually listened to. He took questions from United fans on the United YouTube. I mean, there were premeditated questions, but still quite interesting insights, especially around injuries, identity, who he thinks is doing well at the club. But there was a story, now I've had it confirmed by MUFC MPB that it's not a very reliable source, but basically, apparently, Real Madrid are really pissed off with Manchester United because they want Pau Torres, but Man United have snuck in and got the deal done. This is from an unreliable source, so don't take it as being anything. But you know what? I feel that there might be something going on with Pau Torres. Certainly more than Koundé. There's even talk that Koundé might be signing a new contract now. So, of course, not all these players are going to go. And we've got to be careful of that. But, Koundé may be signing a new contract. There's some rumours in Spain that he might do that, which would mean he's not leaving. And Pau Torres could end up being the player that United go for. I mean, he is left-footed. We'll have to wait and see on that. Bilal says, what's your opinion on Kessie? I like Kessie. I do like Kessie. I think if Pogba left, I'd love Kessie. But, Pogba will leave United and Chelsea will get Kessie. But, I do like Kessie. I mean, I've always liked him. It's nothing to do with him playing well against United at Old Trafford. We were probably talking about Kessie on this channel 3 or 4 years ago when he was at Atlanta, so I do like him. Joe and Daniel, thanks for the super chat. He says, thoughts on Nicky Butt's exit? Are things worse behind the scenes than we think? Done great things with our youth setup. Gutted to see him go. Well, I don't want to dwell on it too much, Joanne, because I've spoken about it quite a lot over the last couple of days, but I actually think Nicky Butt leaving is far, far more impactful than 1,000 United fans on Twitter saying Ollie out. In fact, I think Nicky Butt leaving is a bigger sign of the issues at United than Ollie out trending on Twitter. I do. And some people would say, well, that's logical. But I think Nicky Butt leaving is because Nicky Butt doesn't believe in what the project is. I mean, that's my interpretation of what's been leaked. He's not happy with what's happened around the director of football and the technical director. Well, Nicky Butt has done an amazingly good job at Manchester United over the last few years. And if you know, you know. He's done really good things around that gap between the youth and the first team. He's done a brilliant, brilliant job. Very respected. Been at that club when we were a very good club. Like, he was there coming through when United weren't winning leagues. He was class of 92. The first season we won a Premier League, he was coming through as a youth player. So he was very aware. I mean, if you think about Nicky Butt when he's 15, 16, United haven't won a title for decades. So he was there from the start to the end. And nobody would have more DNA than him. So I think if Nicky Butt's not happy with decisions at the club and he's walking out, I think it's a far bigger thing than people are making, really. Hi, Mark. Can you wish my son Dylan a happy 20th birthday? He's at college and hopefully studying hard. We both really enjoy watching your videos, says Casey Sherwin. Happy birthday, Dylan. Hope you have a good day. Nice message there from your dad. And also, Mark, you were too biased putting Rashford above Saka in your England lineup today on your other channel. Oh, come on, Zane. Marcus Rashford is way above Saka. I like Saka, but he is ahead of him. Would you buy Jack Grealish, says Regan? I would buy Jack Grealish, but I think there are other priorities for us at the moment, so I don't think that's going to happen. And Sahil says you're on crack if you think Rashford's worse than Saka. So, let's talk about this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did an interview where he was asked a number of questions, and I'm just going to give you all the answers really, because I think it gives you an idea of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think when I sit down and watch Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I'd urge you to watch it. It's on the Man United YouTube channel. Lots of questions asked of him, and you know what? Away from your frustration about how we play football, and away from your doubts about whether he's the right man, and away from the noise and toxicity of what you get on the social media or in the live chat sometimes, which is expected because that's just what life is like sometimes. There's no doubting that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a humble, likeable guy, and we can't paint him as anything else. You might be frustrated with him, you might not think he's a good manager, but there's no doubting that he's a humble, nice guy. That doesn't mean he should be Man United manager, I know, but let me just say, first of all, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a nice guy. He was asked about what his favourite food was. Now it gets better than this. Very interesting that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has a passion for Italian food. I mean, we're on the same page, Ole. I love me Italian food. But very interesting, this first point. He was asked about I don't know how the question was phrased to Ole, but the question was basically, what's your advice to people who get injuries? And I mean, this will make you I know what this will make you do. I'll give you the answer. So basically, Solskjaer said the most important thing when you're injured, if you're a young player or not, is to take your time in getting back and not to rush things. I just was like, oh my God, he's going to get absolute pelters for that. But as we know, in the 2 years Ollie's been our manager, we have rushed players back numerous times. We've overplayed players numerous times as well. We've played players this season injured. Marcus Rashford's been played injured. Lindelof's been played injured. There are plenty of examples of players who have been rushed back. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say the most important thing when you're injured is take your time to getting back and don't rush it, because this, you might damage your career in the future. And yet we're doing that. So, I mean, look, Nate Marvin says Ollie's such a hypocrite. Well, I suppose as the manager, you could level that at him. But what I thought is it's a sad state of affairs when I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's lying. I think he knows full well that you shouldn't rush players back and you shouldn't, you should take your time, etc. But the fact that he's not been able to do that, why is he contradicting his own sound advice? Is it because the squad isn't good enough? Is it because he's not been given the squad that's good enough? I mean, at the end of the day, I think sometimes you have to play a player that's injured because you don't have the squad depth to do anything else. So, interesting on that sense. But I knew that one would catch your eye. Zane's the kind of the guy that puts mayo on a bacon sarnie, says Jake Marsh. I mean, to be honest, I've got to be honest. I think mayonnaise on a bacon sandwich isn't abhorrent to me. I don't mind it, to be fair. So let's have a quick look as well. This one was quite interesting. He was asked the question about who are the most improved players this season at Manchester United. Now, this one's going to create some debate because he said that I've been very impressed with a lot of players this season, their mentality and their work rate, etc. All the normal stuff that you'd get from Ollie. But what he also said is that the interesting thing was that he said Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford and Scott McTominay. He named those 4 players. Now, a lot of people are saying Luke Shaw this season, and basically what he was talking about, improvement and progression. And he named 4 players: Shaw, Bruno, Marcus and McTominay. Now, I agree with Luke Shaw. I think his improvement and progression and consistency has been fantastic. I don't necessarily agree with Bruno. I think Bruno has continued what he did last season. Rashford, I don't know with Rashford. I think I'd like to give Rashford some credit because he's been a very important player for us this season. He's scored a lot of goals. I don't know whether he's made progression. I think Rashford isn't as good as he was before his injury around Christmas a year ago. But I still think he's carrying injuries. I think he's carried a lot of injuries. And I think Rashford deserves a lot of credit for playing through a lot of those injuries and still producing. Rashford is inconsistent, we know that, but he's still had a very good season. McTominay, has he progressed and improved this season? It's a hard answer. It's a really hard answer because we're playing him out of position. He's not a centre defensive midfielder. And he's so bad in that position that it makes you think, well, how's he progressed? But when he's been allowed to get near the edge of the opposition box, he's actually been better than he was last year. So I would agree that McTominay has improved and progressed. but only in less than a handful of occasions has he been allowed to do that. I think the vast majority of times McTominay's played as a CDM, and he's played poorly. And we're going to go into that in a minute, player ratings for the season so far. But I think he's played poorly in that sense. So, but, it's slim pickings. Who would you talk about beyond those 4 players that have actually improved and progressed this season? I don't think Wan-Bissaka's improved and progressed. Maguire, not really. Lindelof, no. Fred, definitely not. He's regressed. Matic has regressed. Martial has regressed. Cavani, Pogba, in and out. So really, he's probably right with the 4. I wouldn't put McTominay anywhere near Shaw and Bruno and Rashford, but, he's probably not too far wrong. Hi, Mark. For me, we have to get rid of the deadwood and sign Koundé, Rice, Isaac or Calvert-Lewin. Love the show. Enjoy your weekend, says Dazbo. Thank you very much. We are going to be doing the player ratings for the season in a few minutes' time, so I'm looking forward to that. He was also asked about what player in the current squad. There are some really good questions. He was asked about what player in the current squad reminds him of him. He said Mason Greenwood. I'd love to have a finishing competition with him and me when I was in my prime. There are similarities between Mason Greenwood's finishing and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, apart from one was right-footed and one was left. But there are similarities there. I definitely agree with him with that. He was then asked that if he could bring one legend back into this Manchester United squad, who would it be? And I liked this answer from Ollie. I liked a lot of his answers today, but I liked this answer. And he said that Roy Keane, which is that's the one I would bring back. He said Roy Keane. If I could bring any legend back, it would be Roy Keane. The player, not necessarily the man, but the player, which was a bit of a joke. But he's right, I'd bring Roy Keane. And he said also Cristiano, who is still there, Ollie. You could still bring him back in real life. But Roy Keane back into the team is very telling from Ollie, because he could have said Ryan Giggs. He could have said Paul Scholes. He could have said, Rio Ferdinand, but he said Roy Keane. And that to me is very important, because we talk about needing a centre defensive midfielder. And he's asked about it. He's asked about who he would bring back, and he mentions Roy Keane. Well, surely he knows what we know. I'd bring Roy Keane back because we desperately need a leader and a centre defensive midfielder. And I think that's an insight to me, to Solskjaer, is whether he's going to get a centre defensive midfielder or not. He obviously knows he needs one. He's probably just been told you're not getting one because he needs a striker and a centre back. But I think that's a very big insight, because if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thought he needed a striker, he could have said Van Nistelrooy. And if he thought he needed a centre-back, he could say Rio Ferdinand. But the fact he wants Roy Keane back, he knows the importance of that position. He did say Cristiano as well. And he mentioned that he loves a traditional number 9, which I've also mentioned. Little bit of insight into the dressing room. He said, I don't go into the dressing room too much, because when I go in there, I go in there quite serious because I'm the boss. But he said that the most confident and loud people are Pogba and Bay, which I think we would have predicted anyway. But it's quite interesting, that, isn't it? If Pogba and Bay are the quite big loud leaders in the dressing room, Pogba wants to leave and Bay wants to leave, if rumours are to be believed. So the two biggest personalities in the dressing room both want to leave the club, which is never a good thing, is it? It's never a good thing if the most loud and personable people in the office are the two that's going to leave, because that's going to leave a big hole when they go. So quite interesting. Ollie being serious, says Roy Keane Hurley. Mark, Koundé will not work since we play zonal marking on set pieces, which will not suit him, so we need a tall and quick centre-back, says Bala. We don't. There's an obsession with height. I've seen people talking about this. There is an obsession with height and centre-backs, which is ridiculous. Cannavaro, Poyel, two of the best centre-backs I've seen, both under 6 foot. So you don't need to be tall to be a good centre-back. You don't. And this obsession with height, the reality is, the way science works is the taller you get, the slower you get. There are exceptions to the rule, but we've already got a 6'5" slow centre back. Why do we need another over 6 foot potentially slow centre back? You want a centre back pairing that works. You want a quick centre back, and that is what Manchester United need. I'd be very happy to take Koundé. I'm not so sure that we're going to get him, but I'd be very, very happy to take him. St Thomas Brady says Cannavaro and Poyel, and who else? But mate, I'm talking about two of the best centre backs of the last 15 years, and they are under 6 foot. That there is not a long list of top world class centre backs. So I've just given you two who are under 6 foot. There'll be loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of other ones, but I'm saying they are two of the best centre backs of the last 15 years, and they're both under 6 foot. So, and in that group, there's going to be about 10. So there you go. Baresi was under that as well. Yeah, I mean, Baresi was a long time ago as well. But of course there will be other ones. Of course there will be other ones. People are obsessed with height and centre-backs. But what I'm saying is a centre-back is about the pairing, isn't it? That's what it's about. They, you know, there are upsides and downsides. A smaller centre back is going to be more capable in relation to agility and speed and manoeuvrability, which helps with reading the game better, bringing the ball out from the back better. So, you know, I think Maguire needs a smaller centre back next to him anyway. Difference in the Premier League height is more important, says Ziggy Johnson. I don't think it is. I disagree. I don't think it is at all. You're just using that because Poyal and Cannavaro didn't play in the Premier League, but I disagree. I don't think that. And we've got a lot of height in our team, and actually zonal marking is contradictory to height because we don't use that height very well. You know, why do we concede so many goals from corners if we've got Scott McTominay, Nemanja Matic, Harry Maguire, all these tall players, and we still concede goals? So I don't agree with that. I think it's ridiculous that people think we need 2 centre backs over 6'2". Vidic was only 6'2", says Mark Dobby, and Roberto Carlos was same size as Ronnie Corbett, but the best. Who cares about size? The same Yassi. I think it's a bit silly. I think it's a bit silly, to be honest. Thoughts on Llorente, says Ammon. I'm not talking about Llorente. You can keep asking about it. I'm not talking about it. It's a shit story, and I'm not talking about it. And I've already spoken about it anyway. So some very interesting things that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spoke about there. Somebody said that he spoke about United identity. He didn't really. He spoke about the sort of player that he likes. And basically, he said this before. It's about being a team player, having the right attitude, be hard-working, but also being a good player as well. Fastest man in the world is over 6 foot. It's about fast twitch muscle fibres, not how tall you are. Maguire can't read the game anyway, which doesn't help, says Jake Marshall. And yeah, I think you're right about that. Why are we not looking at Badiashile? Weren't we linked with him last year? Well, we might be looking at Badiashile. Yeah, we might. Let me just get this working now. How am I going to do this? Somebody asked me a question while I do this. I think all we need is a defender with pace and is genuinely good at defending, and Koundé ticks those boxes, says Cian Walsh. I personally think that Manchester United are looking at Koundé, Torres, Varane, and hopefully not Ben White. But I do think that we're probably looking at those players in particular. Somebody just said, what would you think about Aguero to Manchester United? I don't want Aguero at Manchester United. I think that's the sort of thing that I think that would be catastrophic to bring in somebody like that, to be honest with you. I don't want to see Aguero coming to Manchester United. No, I don't. Right, you're going to see me moving around here. You're going to see the magic at work. Look at that. I can move across there. Can do it in stream. Let's see. I just know what I'm doing. Yeah, I deserve some applause for doing it that quick. In stream. Stream bridge. Right, we're going to do season player ratings now. Smash a like on the video, by the way. And also, look at the top right-hand corner. We're 9 subscribers away from 11,000. So please subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Pedro Neto would be a fantastic option. Crossing ability, unpredictable, both feet and fast. This transfer window will need a lot of wisdom. I like Neto, Michael Vieira. You know what? Let's talk about that for a moment. I would like Neto and Neves. I think they would transform our team ridiculously. So I would love Neto and Neves, Portuguese trilogy with Bruno Fernandes. So I'd love that. I'd be all over that, like cheesecake. I'd love it, or whatever they eat in Portugal. They do nice puddings in Portugal. I just can't think of one. So right, let's do this. You can do your votes yourself through the link in the video description. We've only had 2,000 votes. Come on. I'm going to take another question. Links in the video description. Do your player ratings while I'm doing this. We need more than 2,000 as a pool. Come on. We need more than that. Rose says, I'd love to see Man United raiding Wolves. Yeah, I would as well. I'm going to take some of your questions in a minute. And Andre Silva has the same amount of Bundesliga goals as Haaland this season, says Harrison Bow. I think, well, somebody just said there, how much would we get Andre Silva for? No more than 40 million. So it would be a good signing. I mean, look, if I said to you, Andre Silva for 40 million, Pau Torres for 40, 50 million, that's 90 million on a striker and a centre-back, and then get a CDM in as well. But it's going to be difficult, isn't it? Having to buy a striker is a real irritation. Okay, we need to make smarter signings like City and not spend all our budget on one player, says Mohammed. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. Man United tend to chuck their budget on one player, which is what we've seen with Pogba and Harry Maguire in the past. We don't need to do that this summer because we need more than one player. Right, let's start these player ratings for the season. Remember, 6 is average and 10 is... Sorry, you mark them out of 10 and 6 is the average. Why was this not refreshing? 1 minute. Mark Goldbridge loses to Burnley again. There we go. It's loading now, which is great. Just wait a minute while this happens and then we will move on with the player ratings. Hi Mark, thoughts on our right wing situation and the fact we haven't had one in so long? I often feel sorting that position will really help Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the shape as a whole, and help balance our attacks, says Joshua de Villiers. I agree, mate. I mean, look, to be honest with you, I don't know what's happened. It's working now. To be honest with you, if I had my way, I would buy a centre-back, a CDM, a right winger and a striker, but we haven't got the money. I mean, I could get you a cheap striker, which I think could do well. Andre Silva, Isaac. I think you'd get them for under 50 million quid. I think you could get a decent centre-back for under 50 million quid. That's 100 million, though, on 2 players. You're not going to make that money back off many sales. And then you still want a right winger and a CDM. We are starting next season deprived of everything we need. And why the club thinks we're progressing... I've said this before and I don't want to say it. We're not going to get the players we need next season to progress. We're going to be behind Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester City in relation to our squad. So we're going to have to exceed expectation or hope that 2 of those 3 teams underachieve. I mean, let's be honest, just before I do the player ratings here. Let's be honest, right? We need a centre-back, a CDM, a right winger and a striker, and that's before Pogba leaves. If he leaves, we need another midfielder. That's 5 players, but let's say it's 4. 4 players at averaging 50 million each. That's 200 million we haven't got. We're not going to spend. We're not going to get the 4 players that we need to even progress, even get near a title challenge, right? We'll do well to get 2. So we'll go into next season with at least 2 big holes. And if Pogba goes, probably 3 big holes. Next season, Chelsea, they look fine already, but they'll add to what they've got. Man City look fine already. They'll add to what they've got. And Liverpool, I think, will be better next year. 3 teams better than us next season. How do we progress without filling the holes? What happens next season? We don't progress. We regress a little bit. And Solskjaer's gone by Christmas and he's thrown under the bus by the board. We bring another manager in, hype it up a little bit, don't give him what he wants. A couple of years later, we're back where we are. I can see it happening. I think unless Solskjaer produces a miracle next year again, he's gone by Christmas because we're going to drop off. Because to be honest with you, this team, this season, is basically revving their shit out of a Ferrari. There's no progress. It just really is put your foot down and hope, because there are holes in that squad, and I think we all know it. And my fear is that you can write this script. I think we're following a very similar script to Mourinho 3 years ago. He gets second place against all odds, doesn't get the players he needs in the summer, reality bites in the next season, the team comes back to where it should be, and Mourinho falls for it and takes the fall. And I think that's going to happen, unfortunately. Right, player ratings. We're going to have to whiz through these because there's quite a lot. So 6 is the average out of 10. Let's start off with David De Gea. And you can clip that up if you want, because I think that's going to happen. I don't want it to happen, but I think it will. David De Gea gets a 7 for me this season. I actually do not agree with people that he's had a bad season. I think he's had a good season, better than his last couple. Most of the goals he's conceded have not been his fault. I can't actually think of a goal other than, was it Everton in the league? Was that this season where he passed it out to Calvert-Lewin or something? So I think David De Gea's had a good season this year. Not an amazing season, but I think he's had a good season. So I'll give him a 7. You've given him a 6.6. And Henderson for me would get a 7 as well. I think for a first season it's been decent when he's played. He's had a lot of clean sheets. Granted, I mean, I saw an infographic at the start of the week where Dean Henderson's got more clean sheets than most goalkeepers in the Premier League. And this is why most goalkeepers in Europe. But this is why I hate stats. Like, he's played against shit. Like, he's played cup football against shit teams mainly. So he's going to have a lot of clean sheets. It amazes me that Dean Henderson's a contender for Premier League Player of the Month and Manchester United Player of the Month, because I don't really think he's had a lot to do. And he made a big mistake against AC Milan. But I'd give him a 7, above average. And look, it's an interesting battle between those goalkeepers, as we know. Solskjaer needs to make a decision in the summer. Wan-Bissaka's a 6 for me. Not horrific. Not horrific. You've given him a 6.2. Yeah, not horrific from Wan-Bissaka, but certainly not consistent. I wouldn't put him in the England squad at the moment. Defensively, very good. But, I think with Wan-Bissaka, you don't know what you're going to get. You get a good performance, you get an average performance, you get a bad performance. So, a bit inconsistent this season. Lindelof, 6 for me, 5.5 for you. Yeah, I mean, at times he's been good. I think within the limitations that he's got, and when I'm talking about the limitations, I'm talking about that centre-back pairing. It's not a great pairing, but at times Lindelof's been good. At times he's not been very good. So I'd say it's average in relation to the person. I think Lindelof would have a better season if he was playing with Eric Bailly, to be honest with you. Maguire. Can we get Harry Maguire on the screen? Yeah, we can. Harry Maguire for me is 6. 5.3. So I'm probably being a bit more generous than most of you. I'd give him a 6. I think since Christmas he's played well. Up until Christmas he was very bad. But since Christmas he's been good. He's got better. And I think, to be fair to Harry Maguire, I'm probably giving him the 6 based on the fact that when he plays with Eric Bailly, he looks a different centre-back. When he plays with Lindelof, he looks very shaky. Eric Bailly's a 7 for me. I think Eric Bailly has been... I actually agree with the stories we've seen this week. I think Eric Bailly's played really well this season. I think he's not played enough, but when he has played, I can't think of a bad performance. We've played better as a team. Puts his body on the line, sometimes too much, but I think Eric Bailly's had a very good season. I'd give him a 7, so it's good to see that you've given him a 6.5. Trying to whiz through these, of course. Tuanzebe, I mean, what can I say? I've got to give him a 5. I mean, not through any fault of his own. I almost just want to give him a score because of Mbappe and Neymar, but he's just not been given the games, has he? So I can't give him any more than a 5, and I feel sorry for the lad in relation to that. Luke Shaw for me, I mean, it's a comfortable 9. Yeah, 8.5, high 5. I mean, high 5, definitely. I mean, Luke Shaw's been immense this season. There's no two ways about it. He's been absolutely superb. So yeah, I'd give him a 9. I think there's an interesting conversation to be had about who should be Player of the Year, actually. So yeah, Luke Shaw's a 9 for me. He's been absolutely superb. He's shat on his critics. I was going to say he sat down his critics, but I'll say he shat on his critics because he has. It is unfair on Tuanzebe. Somebody said it's unfair on Tuanzebe, but you've got to be real. I like Tuanzebe. He should have played more football. But you can't give him a good score when he's not played. If I was Tuanzebe watching this, it would be an eye-opener that, look, we rate you, Axel. We think you're really good. It's ridiculous how few minutes you've been given. Luke Shaw, yeah, give him a 9. Tellez, I mean, 6, yeah. I mean, what average? Not. It's difficult when Luke Shaw's getting a 9 and that's your competitor. I understand that, but I also think maybe he could have played a few more games, maybe off the left wing or something like that. But not been a great signing so far. Brandon Williams. Again, Tuanzebe score 5. When you look at the season that Wan-Bissaka's had, you do wonder why Brandon Williams or Tuanzebe haven't been given a few games at right back. But again, underused, and a player that wanted to go on loan in January, didn't go on loan in January, and still hasn't been given game time. So a frustrating year for Brandon Williams, and you can't give him any more than a 5 because he's just not played. Pogba's an interesting one. I mean, you could give him a 1 for letting his agent come out with that in December. Started the season with COVID. Took him a long time to get over that. I think we started to see the best of Pogba in mid-December and late January. Got injured, only just come back. So season score, I'd probably give him a 5. But when he's actually played, I'd give him a 7. So, high 5, yeah. When he's actually played, I'd give him a 7, definitely, yeah. I don't want to not dwell on Paul Pogba. Massively important player for us. We're a better team when we've got Paul Pogba. It's just a shame he's not been on the pitch as much as he could have done. But COVID's had a big effect on him, and obviously injuries had a big effect on him. But very important player. I'd give him a 7. But remember, we're talking about a season score. It's not about the talent, it's about how many games they've played as well. When you're scoring Luke Shaw a 9, he's nearly played every game and been impactful. You can't give Pogba an 8 or a 9 when he's not played. A season rating so far has to be based on the number of games they've played. Hence, I like Twansebi, but he gets a 5 because he's hardly been used. Wan Mata. Again, another 5 for me. 140 grand a week. I don't think he's really that good enough. Doesn't get picked. Started the season okay. Ricky will be screaming, hey, what about Mata when he played against Newcastle and Everton? Ollie's man. But one of those players that was involved, then didn't get used, and now is injured. So I'd definitely give Mata a 5. Started the season off okay, but has fallen away quite a lot. Fred. There's a massive part of Fred that's underrated. There is a massive part of Fred that's underrated, but there's a massive part of Fred that's been crap for the last few weeks. So, and talking about the season as a whole, he's not been crap all season. I think up until Christmas, Fred was actually quite decent, but the last few weeks he's been terrible. So I'm going to give him a 6, but it doesn't surprise me that everyone's given a 5 because I'm looking at the season as a whole, and Fred wasn't crap between September and Christmas, but pretty much since the last few weeks he's been dreadful, hasn't he? Matic has been a huge disappointment, and I think he's got to take some responsibility himself. Fair play, everyone giving him a 4. I'd mark him down because he was such an important player last season. That midfield of Matic, Pogba and Bruno was really important. He retires from international duty and you think, give us another year. Give us another year, Nemanja. And for whatever reason, he's nowhere near the level, and it's been really disappointing. And you can moan about McFred, but the part of the reason we have to play McFred is because Matic has been so poor this season. So yeah, Matic for me would be a 4. McTominay, wow, I could almost give McTominay 2 scores here. I'm going to have a look at the live comments because I really do not know what to say about McTominay in this sense, because I often get called a hater of McTominay, which I'm definitely not. I think as a box-to-box player, I'd probably give him a 6. But as a midfielder, as a CDM, I'd probably have to give him a low score. So, some people are saying 6. Some people are even saying 7. I don't know what... It's difficult with McTominay because he is a divider. Some people love him. Some people think he's bang average. Some people think he's crap. I'm definitely not giving him anything more than a 6. I don't even know where 6... Can I just say, I always do want to understand, for those people who are giving McTominay higher than an average, what do you see? And where do you see it? Because for the last 5 or 6 games, McTominay's been shit, in my eyes. He's been absolutely shit. Giving the ball away, losing his runner, dribbling and playing heavy touches. I've seen nothing from him over the last 6 games other than poor performances. So where does this he's doing well come from? I don't understand it. I'd love somebody to explain that to me. Having said that, I think that I think when he's allowed to play more box to box or more freer, then he does do quite well. But yeah, I think the Leeds game he played well, but somebody just said it there. Against Leeds McTominay a 7, normal McTominay a 4. And that's the problem, isn't it? I think when he plays as a box-to-box, he's a better player, but he's predominantly played as a CDM, so for me it's a 5. 5.5, somewhere in between. I agree with that, that's fine. Donny van der Beek, look, I love Donny. It's got to be a 4. I don't know why people are giving him a 5.6. We're talking about season player ratings. He's hardly played. He's played less minutes than Van Dijk, who's been injured for most of the season. You can't give him a sympathy vote. I love Van der Beek, but these are real scores. He's hardly played in the Premier League. He's hardly played in a Man United shirt. How can he have a good score? Some of these scores are inflicted by the coach. And I think that Donny van der Beek's season is very low. He's not played enough games. To be honest, I probably should give him a 5. I wouldn't give him as low as a Matic. I'll give him a 5. But, it's not his fault. He's just not played enough. Bruno, for me, it's got to be a 9, 8.6. Yeah, look, recent weeks, he's fallen off a bit. But let's not forget why we are where we are. Without Bruno Fernandes, we're down with Arsenal, discussing mid-table matters. he is the reason since he came in at the end of January in 2020, we are where we are. The points tally that we've had before Bruno and what we've had since, he's a massive, massive player. And the thing about Bruno is it's not just about the goals. It's not just about the assists. You watch us when we played at the weekend without Bruno and we look awful. So even when Bruno's not getting goals and assists, we miss him when he's not in the team. His leadership, his ability, his pressing. So yeah, I mean, Bruno's just a fundamental player to what we are. Him and Luke Shaw, really, and Rashford. Mark, wouldn't you say McTominay has picked up his game? He's scoring more, and I feel very confident when he's around the box. Yeah, but he's nowhere near the edge of the box. That's the problem. The vast majority of McTominay's game is out on the edge of our box as a CDM, and that's the problem. He needs to play further up, but we're not going to do that. Mark, if fans were allowed into Old Trafford showing their frustration towards McFred and McTominay, what do you think Ollie's team sheet would look like? Well, it's a thing we'll never know, Lee, won't it? But Paul says that 4 is a disgrace for Van der Beek, 5 is better suited. Yeah, but Paul, 5's a disgrace for our star signing. Whatever score you give Van der Beek, it's low because he's not been picked. It's not because of his performances. When in the few times he's played, I've been impressed with him. But the score is not, if you're not playing, you're not playing. Diallo, I mean, he's only been here since January. I don't think he's played enough games, so I'll give him a 6. But from what I've seen of him, I like the look of it. But, again, a little bit like Van der Beek, I think he should have had a bit more game time. I'd like to have seen a little bit more from him, and hopefully we will see some more of him. Dan James scored, start of the season a little bit like Mata. He was playing. Last few weeks he's played. He does a job. He puts a shift in. He's a West Brom player. He's a Premier League player, but he's not a top 6 player. He puts a shift in. He allows you to play. He puts a shift in. He's dangerous running into space. Against Leeds, he was very dangerous. 6 for me, for Dan James. He's not set the world on fire. He's a very limited player, but he puts a shift in. So I'd give him a 6, average 6. Shola, I mean, can't give him any more than a 6 really. We've hardly seen him, have we? Hard to do that. Rashford's an 8 for me, 7 for you. I mean, I think that Rashford gets a lot of stick because of what he's been playing like for the past few weeks. He's not played well the last few weeks. He's had some stinkers this season, Rashford, actually. Across the season, he's had some really bad games, but he's also had some amazing games. He's definitely one of our most important players. And I'd give him an 8 because he's played a lot injured. He's won us a lot of games. He's definitely a rough diamond. He needs to smooth those edges out a little bit. But I'd give him an 8. If you want to give him a 7, that's fine. But I think he's been a very good player for us this season. At crucial times. Mason Greenwood, I'll give him a 7, 6.5. Yeah, I mean, again, he's had to play a lot of positions. He's not had a lot of service. I think we're moving into the graveyard shift now, aren't we? Very hard to mark the strikers of United when they're getting no service because we're playing a back 6 and defensive football. But I think Mason Greenwood started the season in a very challenging situation off the field and on the field. I think since Christmas, he's got his head down. He's worked really hard. He looked very dangerous off the wing. He's played up front and he's played it very maturely. He's 19 years of age. I think he's had a better than average season, to be fair. I mean, Anthony Martial, I've got to be absolutely honest, for many different reasons, it can only be a 5 for me. Very, 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 very below the high standards he set last year. Again, part of that is because he's playing the graveyard shift, but part of it is because he's not played well himself. So, Martial's below average this year. It pains me to say it because I think he's one of my favourite... Well, he is one of my favourite players, and I think he's one of the best talents we've got at the club. But something's gone amiss with Martial. He is playing the graveyard shift. I think there's games where people have said he's played crap when he hasn't. He's just had no service. But, yeah, I mean, he's not had a good season, Martial. Cavani. I mean, 6. Yeah, 6.2. High 5. 6.2 for Cavani, isn't it? I mean, when he's played, he's been brilliant. Southampton. When he's played, he's been quiet. Graveyard shift. And he's been injured 3 times. So it's like... It's not even Jekyll and Hyde. It's the 4 seasons. It's spring, summer, winter, and autumn. And we've had the worst of Cavani with the injuries. We've had the worst of United with the lack of chances where he's just running around chasing shadows. And we've had the best of Cavani where he can score a goal out of nothing. And that Southampton game was a massive 3 points because of Cavani. So, I love the celebration as well. I haven't seen it enough. So a 6 for me, because as a season score, he's missed too many games. He's also been a victim of being a number 9 in the United shirt. But when we've seen the best of Cavani, he's been brilliant. So just a mixed bag with Cavani. So I think an average 6 is probably about right. Great attitude, yeah, definitely. Injury prone as well. So yeah, I think Cavani's moving a little bit towards a 7. If he'd stayed fit, I would give him a 7. But the concern with Cavani was always the injury record. Of course it was. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So, I mean, we'll be doing this at the end of the season, so it'll be interesting to see if anybody changes. Ole this season, I mean, I know what I'm going to give Ole. Sam says a 7 to an 8. I mean, for me, it's definitely, it can't be average. We're second in the league. Whether you like the manager, whether you like the style of football, whether you want him gone or you want him to get a new contract, whatever you think, whatever the circumstances, we are still second in the league. And it's not our fault that Lampard failed. Look at the money Lampard got. Look at the players Lampard got. I mean, all right, Lampard messed it up, and now you've seen what a proper manager does with that squad. That Chelsea squad should have challenged for the title. Lampard messed it up. If you'd have given that Chelsea squad to Tuchel from day one, we'd be third. So, that's not our fault that Lampard messed up a great opportunity. I think Mourinho has messed up a great opportunity. I think they had a really good chance this season and they blew it. Liverpool have had a lot of injuries. So look, people will say, well, in a normal season, we'd be 5th. But this has been a normal season. People have wasted their opportunities and Solskjaer has taken his. You can't knock him for that. Next season, I think will be very different. But I wouldn't say we've been lucky. We've got a lot of points and we're second in the league and that's where we deserve to be. So has the football been good? It's not the United way. Do I feel that we've absolutely exhausted the same tactic time and time again? Yes. Do I think there's longevity in this? No. Do I think we'll be where we are next season with this team? No. I think the sum is massive. But in relation to this season, I did say at the start of the season, it would be a miracle if we get top 4 and we're second. So I have got to give Solskjaer his dues and say that, realistically, I'd give him a 7.5. I wouldn't give him an 8, so I'll give him a 7. I mean, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. It really is ridiculous, isn't it? But that's the weight of feeling against the manager at the moment. That's the frustration. There's no way he's below a 6. I don't care what anybody says. He's not below a 6. But look, the score has come through. There's a lot of people against the manager at the moment. I mean, Graham's laughing, but Graham, we're second in the league. We're second in the Premier League. That's not a lie. We've played over 30 games this season. We are where we deserve to be. And we're second in the league. We have made progress whether you like it or not. And I understand people want him out of a job. I get that. But there is something in my mind that's just ridiculous to give him below average. Because an average score would be United 3rd or 4th. We're second. We have underachieved. The cup game was disappointing. The Champions League campaign was disappointing. Some of his team selections and tactics have been very disappointing. But in the context of a player season rating, in that parameter, it's got to be above average for me. It has. But, it's all about opinion. 5.7 for you. And therefore, we are casting the player of the season vote. And for me, so far, it still would be Bruno Fernandes. Let's see if it's Bruno Fernandes who comes out here. And it is 53% of the vote. Luke Shaw with 39% of the vote. So there you go. It's not quite Luke Shaw in your mind yet. 5.7, 90% of people know nothing about football, says Robert McCormack. I'll just have a quick check about this. Somebody just said something here. Something on Twitter. Manchester United want to sign Atletico Madrid midfielder Marcus Llorente and have made an offer that reaches around 80 million euros. Atletico had no plans to sell Llorente but are now studying this offer and attempted to accept it. Yeah, but this is from AS via Sport Witness. I mean, it's a load of bollocks. I'm sorry. And that's old news. That was out this morning. So that's nothing fresh. There is no way Manchester United are going to spend £80 million on Llorente. For one, he's not worth it. That story's bullshit. I'm sorry. That is absolute nonsense. That is the foreign press using Manchester United for God knows what reason. There is absolutely no truth in that story at all. And I will stand corrected if it actually happens. But we are not going to spend £72 million on Marcus Llorente when we're not looking at a midfielder anyway and we want a striker and a centre-back. So he's good. I would like him. It's nothing against the player. I do like him. But there's nothing in that story at all. And apparently Amerston says it's a fake story as well. It's been confirmed by Atletico Madrid. So, yeah. He is very good player. Would really like him at United. He would improve our midfield. Is he a centre defensive midfielder? Well, he can play there. But, I mean, look, is it a replacement for Pogba? Definitely. But we're not doing that. Paul Robinson says it's bullshit. They are sitting down this week to discuss transfers. Nothing happening yet. I don't get it. No. And we haven't done that. So yeah, I'm surprised that MUFC MPB would put it out, but maybe it's just putting it out there as a story to see what people think. Mark doesn't like him because he plays in La Liga and Atletico. Mate, I can name you a lot of midfielders I would take from La Liga straight away. I'd take Saul Niguez. I would take Llorente. I'd definitely take Casemiro. I would probably still take Modric. So there are plenty of midfielders in La Liga I would take. So no, don't worry about that. But I want a CDM and I want a centre-back. They're my two positions that I would really like to take at the club. Mark, please rate Ricky and Jay from Monday's show, says Kev. Well, I'm hoping to get them back on Monday with us, Kev, on the Monday night show. Or maybe the Sunday show this week, won't it? Because there's no match. But that show was fire, wasn't it? It was absolutely brilliant. And I really, really enjoyed it. Make sure you smash a like on the video. I'm still live for about another 5 to 10 minutes. So you can get your questions in. You've got a bit of bonus time. Maybe I'll use my Manscaped. Not that one. That would be sinister. That would, if I use that on air, at the end of the United stand, this one, nose trimmer. Remember, you can get 20% off with that. So let me just move that out of the way. Move that. There we go. I don't like that now. I don't like that. Let's put me back over here. Oh, I was flying in the air. I was like Alec Jones. I'm walking in the air. Doo-doo. I'm walking in the air. I'm holding very tight, all above the world and trees. The rivers go round like dreams. I'm taking the piss. Yeah, get your questions in. Mark, you say we should be ruthless regarding Lingard. Why don't you think the same way about Ollie and Maguire? No Champions League, trophyless, only top 4, says Tabres. But you can't... Look, I'm as passionate and hungry for success as any Manchester United fan is. But look at the last 8 years. We haven't finished in the Champions League 2 years in a row. Under Mourinho, under Van Gaal, under Moyes, and we're going to do it with Solskjaer. That is progress. All I think you've got to do with Solskjaer, I've already said tonight what I think is going to happen. He won't get the players he needs in the summer. We will fall behind Chelsea and Liverpool next year, and we will be fighting for 4th, and that will piss the fans off, and the movement that's already there will grow bigger to get the manager out, and the board will react. I think Solskjaer's gone by Christmas. I don't want it to happen. I think he's gone by Christmas. The board have the power to stop this. I'm not going to beat about the bush about this one. I'm going to say it because I think we all need to prepare for it. There are too many similarities for me between what happened with Mourinho 3 years ago, second in the league. People wanted him out when we were second in the league. I remember it. We got knocked out of the Champions League. Second in the league, people were like, this football shit, I don't want him anymore, I'm sorry, I don't care whether we're second or not, I know he's not the right manager. Didn't get backed in the summer, was gone by Christmas. The same thing is happening now. Second in the league, don't care. We're an embarrassment in the trophies, we're playing shit football, I don't want this manager. It's already starting like it did with Mourinho. He won't get the players he wants in the summer, that will build even more frustration. We'll go into next season, the results won't be there because he'll still be playing the same crappy formation, and the pressure will build. Solskjaer knows himself that every time there's a bad result, the noise starts, like it did after Leicester. Like it did after Sheffield United, even though we'd been on a great run. He's only ever one bad result away from the criticism being there, because the criticism hasn't died. It just goes quiet. And I've got no problem with that. The people who don't want Ollie as manager, they have to stay quiet when we're winning games, because you look an idiot if you shout Ollie out then. But as soon as a bad result's there, they're like, hey, we're still here. And the problem is that might be 10% of the fan base, but that will grow and grow and grow and grow. And eventually it hits a point where the board will go, bye-bye, Ollie, even though they've created that issue. So I think that patience is the key here. You don't need to be screaming and shouting Ollie out, because I think it's already going to happen next season. And that's very sad. And that's nothing to do with me not backing Ollie. That's because I can see what's going to happen, because this board are not going to give him what he needs. And there's not a cat-in-house chance that that current squad is capable of fighting for a title. No chance. Haaland is not going anywhere. Why can any team would pay that amount when you can get him for half the price next year? I don't think Haaland's going to go anywhere unless Chelsea just say, let's get him now. Mark, you want the title name for the porn with United stand on in the background? Mark, you want the title name for the porn video with United stand on in the background? OS. I don't really want to watch porn to see me in the background. Mark, thoughts on Tyrese Palmer, the legend? I'm gutted that he's injured. If you know, you know, Oliver. If you know, you know. And Master Arano's right. Ollie will be sacked if not backed. He's set up to fail. He is. He's got to improve the standard of football as well. Yeah. Happy Coding says, name one top 20. Here we go. We're still going on with this. Name one top 20 all-time great Premier League centre-back that is 6 foot or under. Well, name one manager that's been successful who was an interim manager. Things are there to be broken. You know, so I don't agree with this whole you've got to be tall to be a good centre-back. I don't agree with it. I do not agree with it, because if you're playing a high line, that's going to help, isn't it? Definitely. Why waste time on a manager without the potential, says Tabris. And Ollie doesn't change the way United play football from now until the end of the season, then he won't last next season, says Devils 58 Reds. Who do you think is Manchester United's best ever right winger, says Callum Chima. United fans can't handle losing. We lots are so emotional. Mark, your thoughts on Kane possibly going to Real Madrid? I don't know where Real Madrid would get the money from. I really don't. Please smash a like on the video, by the way. We're nearly at 2,000 likes, and we've gone over the 11,000, which is great. Wait till May. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says wait till May on it, really. I mean, look, we're halfway through the international break. We've got... Next week, we'll be building up towards Brighton, of course. And I think that I'm very surprised from this week that there's been no... In fact, I'm very... Can I just say, I'm not surprised. I'm also impressed. I'm very impressed that Paul Pogba has not said anything about leaving Manchester United. I didn't expect that. I think it shows a professionality and respect from Paul Pogba that I admire, because he's done it so many times on international breaks. And obviously that what his agent did just before Christmas was disgusting. And he normally does it. And he hasn't done it this time. And I think that whatever you say about Solskjaer and Pogba, they clearly had a chat before Christmas. And it was clearly along the lines of, look, get your head down, focus on the team, respect the team, and we'll respect you. And in the summer, if you want to go, you can go. And if you want to stay, we'll give you a deal. And I think that's what has happened. And I think Pogba has responded to that. And I think he has respected that. He's kept his agent quiet as well. So, you know, I'm very surprised by that, and I'm very impressed by that. I really thought when he was on French duty, he'd get asked about his future, and he hasn't said anything. So, well done. I mean, look, there's another week to go. We might wake up to it tomorrow morning, but no, I've been impressed with him that. Any watch-alongs tomorrow? Personally, I'll be tuning in to watch Mexico versus Wales, says Santiago. I haven't looked. I'm doing England, Albania on Sunday, definitely. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer preference to play faves will be the end of him, says the United Show. And Mark, a bit off topic, but have you thought of making a YouTube Shorts channels for the United Stand? It's already out there, mate. United Stand clips, Chubba. United Stand clips. Check it out. Check it out. Yeah, but you know what? I think there's something for everybody. There is something for everybody with United. I mean, I really enjoyed doing those player season ratings, and you know, it's only my opinion, and you'll have all yours, and that's the way it should be on this channel, as always. But I think there's something for everybody at the moment. There's something for the optimist. The optimist is that, you know, we're heading in the right direction. We're second in the league. If we get the right players in the summer and we keep Paul Pogba, we can build on that next year. That's the optimist. The realist is, we're doing well. We're doing well. You can't sack the manager. You've got to give him a new contract. But I'm worried about next season, because if they don't back him, I think we could be in trouble next season. And then you've got the I don't know what to call you, because I don't want to give you a negative term just because I disagree with you. Let's call you the Ollie Outers, which is fine. If you believe that, that's fine. It's opinion, isn't it? And I think those people are like, sack him now. He's never going to be the right man. And next season's he's going to get sacked anyway. So, there's something for everybody. But the future will hold the answer. The optimists, the realists, the Ollie Outers, I don't think there's any reason to fear, because any one of those things could happen. They really could. For me, I'm a realist. I think that he does deserve a new contract. We will get top 4. And when we finish this season, you park it and you go, yeah, well done. Okay, you've got your new contract. You deserved it. What's happening in the summer? That's what I'm interested in. And if nothing happens in the summer that's good enough, I think next season we'll end up with him gone by Christmas, because the board haven't backed him. And let's not forget, there's a rollover here. They didn't back him last summer properly, and that will damage us this summer, because we'll be trying to do stuff this summer that we should have done last summer. If we'd have got the centre-back and the right winger last year, we'd be getting a CDM and a striker this year. So it's a rollover, and it's always a rollover. If we'd got rid of Pereira and Delo and Jones last summer, then we could get rid of Lingard, a goalkeeper, and maybe one of the, maybe Martial or someone this year. But we don't. We always back things up. We're always incompetent, and it just you never get on top of the jobs that need to be done. So we can't do what we need to do this summer, because we didn't do it last summer, and we've left ourselves too much to do. And the summer before, and the summer before. It's the same every year, says Paul Robinson, and he's absolutely right. Anyway, I'll be back in the morning on the morning show. I hope you all have a good Friday evening. I've really enjoyed the show tonight. Can I just say, if you are a man, I suppose a woman could use this. I don't want to be crude, but thank you to Manscaped. Trim your grass to make your yard look bigger. I do need to trim my grass, actually. I think it's going to be nice weather on Tuesday. That doesn't mean I'm going outside to do my Manscaped thing. I don't want anyone watching, but I genuinely do need to cut my grass. But if you are interested, 20% off through Manscaped. They are very good quality items. They are. I use them a lot. Nasal and that in the shower. 20% off using the code UnitedStand20. The details are in the video description. And thank you very much to Manscaped. Always like doing their integrations. And thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you very soon.